Late last year, I had a very interesting conversation with a female friend of mine who'd just come from a consultation with a very unusual type of relationship coach. This relationship coach was a Russian lady who was teaching single ladies how to find, date, and marry rich men. And get this, in order to get on her coaching program, you had to pay her 25,000 dirhams, which is the equivalent of $6,800. And the most interesting part was this woman had over 300 women in her Telegram group who had paid to be on her program. Now, I was really interested for purely professional reasons. If you don't know who I am, my name is Ayo Latoye. My brother and I co-founded a dating app for Africans called Trueflutter, which is currently the largest African-owned dating app on the continent with more than 10 million matches. And so when it comes to understanding what it is that drives relationships, I have a pretty unique vantage point that's built on millions of data points, that's built on a lot of customer feedback and testimonials. And so I definitely wanted to learn more. And the interesting thing is I have a couple of friends who are Russians and who live in Dubai. I've lived in Dubai for the last 12 years. And a couple of my friends, my male friends, they've told me about some of their Russian women who seem to have this almost magnetic, irresistible influence on men. I'd always kind of poo-pooed it as folklore or, stuff that's made up. When you think about Black Widow in the Marvel universe, people tend to build a lot of exaggerated stories around that. But now listening to my friend tell me about this coach, I thought maybe there was something more to it, especially because this coach did not have a website. She did not have an Instagram account. She had built her clientele base purely on word of mouth. So women who were having success were telling their friends and they were bringing them onto the program because apparently this woman's system worked. Now, before I go any further to explain some of the counterintuitive, mind-blowing insights that I got from this conversation with my friend, I really feel the need to state something here. So this video is in no way endorsing manipulation or mind tricks when it comes to relationship. It's quite the opposite. My brother and I built Trueflutter because our older sister took a while to get married. And so we wanted to create a platform for people who were looking to connect with genuine, committed partners who wanted long-term relationships. But I felt the need to make this video because I've been having some very interesting conversations of late. I've had a lot of people telling me, Ayo, there are no more good guys in Dubai or there are no more good guys in Lagos. And even when they meet these guys that they like, they don't know what to do to move the conversation forward or to move the relationship forward. And when you juxtapose that with this Russian lady who was teaching women how to find, date, and marry rich men, it reminds me of a verse in the Bible where Jesus says, the children of this world in their generation are wiser than the children of light. And so my whole purpose in making this video is just to even out the playing field for some of the good women out there who have men that they like and they want to see things move on to the next level. Sounds good? All right, back to my story. So when my friend asked this coach what she would get in exchange for her 25,000 dirham investment, the coach said something that really blew my mind because I suspect it's very true. She said most men are not consciously aware of what it is that they actually want in a woman. And in order to bind a man's heart inextricably to yours, in order to make him fall so deep in love with you that he feels he's been bewitched, you have to show up in his life not as a single avatar, but as 4 different avatars sequenced in a specific manner. Mother, sister, daughter, lover. In that order. Isn't that interesting? Now, I want you to take note of something here. This is a woman who is literally teaching other women how to be gold diggers. But when she sequences the avatars, she says lover comes last. And she says that if you mess up the order, you're going to find it very hard to hold on to the men. This coach was so methodical in how she approaches this. She actually coaches her clients on the things that they should wear before they go for meetings, the things that they should focus the conversations on when they have dates with the men. I'll give you an example that totally messed with me. She says when you show up as the daughter avatar, on that date, she gets you to do your hair in pigtails. You dress a particular way that looks almost schoolgirly. And then during the conversation with the guy, you present him with a problem that you're struggling with that you know he can help you with. You're not allowed to speak about finances then because you don't want to give gold digger vibes, but she would teach you how to respond to the guy after he's helped you solve the problem or giving you suggestions that makes him feel like a hero. I mean, this is dangerously deep stuff. But for all the good girls watching this, what's the lesson here? What are the main takeaways? What do men really want? Let me break it down for you, avatar by avatar. So let's start with the avatar of a mother. First, I'm going to start by telling you what the mother avatar is not. A lot of women think that when a man is thinking about the relationship with his mom, he's thinking about somebody who cooks for him, cleans for him, washes his clothes, fusses over him. I'm not sure what it was like for you growing up, but I grew up in Nigeria. And by the time I was the age of 13, my mom had me cooking my own meals. And God help me if I left her kitchen in a mess. She would smack the fear of God into me. I know we've all had different relationships with our parents, but if we peel back the layers and cut to the heart of what the relationship between a man and his mother truly is, there are two major things that you'll find there. The first is a man's mother is the one person that he can truly be himself around. Like even more so than his dad. Like kids, guys growing up, your dad is your hero and you tend to try to be a bit tougher or to act a bit tougher than you actually are. So when you fall down, you scrape your knee or you bump your lip, you have to stiffen up, don't cry, and just man it out. With a mom, it's totally different. You never have to pretend. You're you without any masks, without any facades. The second thing is, for men, their mom is the one person that they know will love them unconditionally no matter what. Whether you're first in the race or you're last, whether you're first in your class or you flunk out, whether you are a huge business success or you're struggling to make ends meet, your mom is the one person that will love you unconditionally no matter what. Now, if we bring this back to try to make it relevant to our conversation today, what are the practical insights you can take away from this? Let me start by telling you something. One mistake that 99.9% of women make. A guy asks you out on a date. Most women want that first date to be at a super fancy restaurant, dressed to the nines, everybody trying to impress everybody else. And so you both show up wearing a face that is not truly yours. What you should do is the total opposite of that. Instead of a fancy dinner, have breakfast somewhere where you're dressed in t-shirt and jeans, have a coffee, get some ice cream and take a walk, whatever it is. But what you want to do is to make sure that the man, and you as well, you're showing up in an environment where it is easier for you guys to be yourselves. The second thing you want to do when you have that first date and you're having a conversation, a lot of people focus on, tell me about yourself. So what do you do now? What are your plans for the future? That's okay. That's definitely how you want to start. But as early as you possibly can, without being weird or awkward, you want to move the conversation to earlier formative years. Have him tell you about what it was like in high school, what it was like in university, and do that in a casual way. Not like you're interrogating him, so please don't be weird. But, oh, you grew up in Chicago. What was it like in high school there? Get him to tell you stuff. Now, this is the important part. As he begins to tell you a bit about himself growing up, he's sharing with you things that in all likelihood he hasn't shared with anybody else. And as he begins to do that, I want you to begin to speak to the 16 or 19-year-old version of him that is in those stories. So if he tells you about a time where he was being bullied, you're like, oh, that must have been really tough for you. I'm really sorry you had to go through that. Or he tells you about some accomplishment he did then. Praise him the way his mom would have praised him then. I know this sounds a little almost woo-woo, but I can guarantee you that there are deep psychological underpinnings to this. There's a fascinating book called The Body Keeps the Score, and it talks about how trauma is stored in somatic addresses in our bodies. What I want you to understand is that every version of you is still inside you right now and shows up at different times and can still be spoken to. I'll give you a very random example to drive home this point. So right now, I'm in my mid-40s. Back when I was 16 years old, I had this kid that really bullied me a lot. And just a few years ago, I think this was like 3 years ago, I hadn't heard from this guy in ages, in decades. He sends me a WhatsApp message and his message comes in. I see his face and he says, "Hey, Isle, this is so-and-so." It's weird, but the moment he said that, my breathing got a bit ragged, my pulse went up, my hands trembled just a little bit, and I realized the feeling I was feeling was the same sense of fear I would have 30 years ago when this guy would round the corner and we would come face to face. And Right now I do martial arts. I work out. I'm super fit. I'm pretty sure if I saw this guy right now, I would give him a thrashing. But still that old feeling came up because that 16-year-old version of me is still inside me. And so when we bring this to your story, being able to speak to the younger version of the person you're communicating with really helps him connect with you. So psychology tells us that when people open up to tell you stories about their earlier formative years, they feel so much more closely connected to you, and you feel so much more closely bonded to them. And that's what you want to do in this situation. Okay, so that was all about the first avatar, which is the mother. Now let's talk about the second avatar, which is the sister. I have 2 kids. My son is 14 and my daughter is 12. And as kids are, they tend to fight ever so often, but they also are great friends. They have each other's back. Like in my house, you hear them laughing all the time and teasing each other. And I know different people have very complicated relationships with their siblings, but on the whole, every guy wishes to have a sister that's a friend, that's a buddy, that they can laugh with, and they can tease each other. So for you watching this right now, what does it mean to show up as the sister avatar? Now, right before I tell you that, I want to remind you of something. Remember I said at the beginning of this video that in order for this to really work, you had to sequence them in a specific manner, starting with the mother avatar. And so if you showed up as the mother avatar and you did that well, then it means you guys already have a bond and you trust each other to a certain extent. And then next on the scene is the sister avatar. And there are 2 major things that you want to achieve here. The first is that you want to be able to poke fun at each other in a playful, non-aggressive way. You want the relationship to be characterized with as many laughs and as many relaxed, humorous moments as you can manage. There is a really great book I read many years ago, and there's a quote from that book that said, "The measure of a very healthy relationship is how much laughter there is, the moments that they break into laughter over a specific amount of time." And that's what you want to try to inject as early as you can in this relationship, because what you're doing is you're sending a subconscious message that this is someone I'm going to enjoy being around. I'm going to be happy being around. That's the first one. The second one is that you want to be able to disagree in a good-natured manner as early as you can, actually, which is the opposite of what a lot of people do, where they pretend to say yes to everything until, they get really comfortable in the relationship. Everybody knows that even the best relationships, those couples have misunderstandings, they have arguments, they have fights. What you want to show is that you're able to disagree without being venomous or without trying to hurt the other person. The true reflection of a healthy relationship is when people are able to disagree without trying to hurt each other or make each other feel bad. And again, you want to bring that as early as you can. This is not you going into a relationship and trying to be contentious, but if there are things that you disagree with, viewpoints you disagree with, don't be afraid to surface those in a non-aggressive but even playful way. For guys, that is incredibly reassuring. All right, so we've spoken about the mother, we've spoken about the sister, now it's time to speak about the daughter. And because I suspect that this may be the one point that triggers a lot of the fiercely independent women who may be watching this, I want to give you some context so you really understand what it is that I'm trying to drive home. And I'm going to state 3 things. You can do with them as you please. But the first is that neuroscience agrees that 95% of our behaviors are driven by subconscious processes and thoughts that we are not even aware of. The second is that in relationships, men rank respect way higher than love. I don't know why that is, but all the literature agrees. And then the third is this: a woman should never, ever date or marry a man that she does not respect. You should never do that. There needs to be something about this man that you respect, whether it's his self-discipline, whether it's his ambition and his drive, whether it's his business savvy, whether it's his character and his kindness or his spiritual values. There needs to be something about him that you respect and admire. And the thing is, whatever it is that he's proficient in needs to be something that ranks highly for you as well. So for example, if you're a woman who career, ambition, financial stability is really important for, but you don't really care about sustainability and ESG, and you're dating someone who can't hold down a job, but he's really great when it comes to ESG, he recycles everything, he joins protests and carries placards, that relationship is really not going to do well, because even though he's an authority in one field, that field is not important to you. So it must be that you respect him for something that is important to you. All right, so coming back to the daughter avatar, the Russian coach had her girls dress in a particular way and behave in a particular way to evoke the hero's response from the guy. That's way too manipulative. But there are some insights that we can draw out from this whole thing. The first is the principle of honor and respect. Find what it is about the person that you like and admire, and don't be afraid to tell him that, even if it's early in the relationship. The only two caveats is that it cannot be about how he looks. It cannot be about, his financial status. You're looking at characteristics or achievements or behaviors and traits that you like and admire that you're willing to tell him about. That's one. The second is not being afraid to ask for advice or help, even if it is early in a relationship. Men are wired to naturally want to be heroes to the women in their lives. The only caveat, like I say again, it shouldn't be financial. It should be something that you think he is uniquely equipped to help you out with. When my 12-year-old daughter comes to me and asks me to help her raise the seat of her bicycle or to pump her bicycle tire, and I do it, when she looks at me and she says, "Thank you so much, Daddy," I feel like Superman in that moment. There's no feeling like that. And so men naturally want to do this for women. The only caveat, like I would say again, is that it shouldn't be financial. But if you need him to help you with a presentation you're working on, advice about an investment you're trying to make, you're moving flat and you need some help or assistance, don't be afraid to ask. And this is where the magic is. When he does help you, you want to thank him profusely for doing that. Not in an overly dramatic way, but you want to let him know that you genuinely appreciate that. Simple things like sending him a voice text the next day to say, "Hey, I really want to say thanks again for helping me out with this." It will make such a difference you cannot even begin to imagine. Unconsciously at the back of our minds, every man needs to feel like a hero in their relationships. Give him that gift and there is nothing he will not do for you. So we've spoken about the mother, we've spoken about the sister, we've spoken about the daughter. Now comes the last avatar, which is the lover. Let me tell you something, my friend. Hollywood, social media, they've sold everyone a big fat lie. Women believe that in order to attract men, they need to dress a particular kind of way, speak a particular kind of way, behave a particular kind of way. And then they wonder why they keep attracting the wrong kind of guys, or why the guys that they attract in their lives never stay. Don't you get it? Don't you see? If you mess up the order and you start with the last avatar, you're going to be signaling to men that this is a relationship that doesn't have any depth or will not have any depth. So it turns out perhaps your mom and your dad and the religious organizations that tell you to practice restraint and chastity when it comes to physical intimacy, they have something there. I mean, if a Russian coach who literally trains gold diggers can tell them that the lover avatar comes last, who are you to say otherwise? Because I want to keep this video halal and keep it PG, what I'm going to tell you about the last avatar of the lover is that when it comes to physical intimacy, don't cross that bridge until the time is right. When my brother and I started Trueflutter, we were very clear that it was a platform for people who are looking for long-term committed relationships. We were very clear that we were not going to let people use it as a quick hookup platform. And because of that, till date, we have these strong community guidelines. We've blocked over 50,000 accounts till date. And if we chose to do it any other way, we probably would have grown even faster than we have right now. But that's a sacrifice that we're willing to make every single day of the week and twice on Sunday. We've celebrated over 100 weddings and have had thousands and thousands of people finding love. Trueflutter as a product is a validation of everything that I've shown you in this video. So to summarize, my friend, what do men really want? Like a mother, we want a woman that we can really be ourselves around, someone that we know loves us unconditionally no matter what. Like a sister, we want a woman that we can have fun, laugh, just chill and be good friends with. Like a daughter, we want someone that we can be a hero for, somebody who respects us and who appreciates the things that we do for them. And like a lover, when it comes to time for physical intimacy, we want someone with whom we know it was totally well worth the wait. So that's it, my friend. Thank you for hanging out with me for the last couple of minutes. I appreciate the gift of your attention. In this video, I spent a lot of time talking about what to do if you find someone you like and how to build a closer bond. But if you are still single and searching, then I would totally recommend you watch this next video here, which talks about the one major reason people are still single and what to do to help you find the person of your dreams in a matter of weeks. All right, I will see you in the next one. Take care.